Greetings and welcome to In-Depth. I'm Dike Rostant. There is often conversation about what the youths need, what the youths doing, etc. And that conversation can oftentimes exclude the subject of the conversation. Now, the Nariva Mayaro District Youth Council aims to change that with one of their projects being their Lead Young, Lead Strong initiative. Co-coordinator Christian Bedassie and Policy and Advocacy Officer / Project Lead Zakiya Gill, they join us to discuss community development through youth leadership. And we want to say welcome and start the ball rolling with you, please, Mr. Bedassie, giving us an overview of Nariva DYC, please.
Hello, so thank you for having us. So the Nariva Mayaro District Youth Council is a youth-led organization whose aim is to advocate on and on behalf of young people within the Nariva Mayaro District. We aim to be that voice of youth. We aim to be that drive behind youth and often give them the voice that they want and so often need.
Thank you so much for that. And let me bring you in, please, Ms. Gill. It is one thing to say, okay, well, people should be doing this for the youth, but to start to actually advocate for yourself, what are some of the things that go into play to say, we would like somebody to do it, but here what? It needs to be done. So we are going to do it. Take me through that process. Thank you, Ms. Gill.
Oh, hi. Thank you for having us. Going through that process is one. I have the exciting role as policy and advocacy officer to, engage in public policy development and make representation on behalf of my organization to the youth of Nariva Mayaro. And through feedback, then I would have to take it to the chairman and the executive, our chairman being Mr. Patrick Phillips, and we would sit and we would brainstorm once it's in line with the national youth development policy. And in this situation, in a case such like this, I had to build the proposal from the ground up and then sell it to the executive and then go through the whole meeting with sponsorships and booking facilitators and sharing the aim and the vision of the youth district. And Mr. Bedassie is on this project with me as coordinator. And yeah, it's about planning, implementation, research, and hard work and networking.
And that hard work goes without saying, but I'm glad that you have that research component in as well. But Mr. Bedassie, do you feel more of a sense of responsibility looking at the fact that Nariva DYC is an umbrella organization, so there are CBOs, there are other NGOs that fall under the umbrella of this organization, and even more so now that we're getting into an election timeline?
I think we do. I think me personally, I take that responsibility serious as well as the wider team. I think that there needs to be that overarching effort because sometimes the other CBOs, the NGOs within the community, they may not necessarily have the resources or know how to go about affecting that change. And I think that is where we come in. And having such a significant role in that process, I think that the responsibility is big. And I think that thus far, we have been doing a good job, but there is also room for improvement.
All right. And in terms of that, selling it to the executive, Ms. Gill, it seems as though there was a makeover, facelift, possibly a slight change in the way that the grouping does what it does. What does that hope to achieve, or what does that solve?
Okay, well, we revamped it in 2019. I was appointed policy and advocacy officer last year, so it's roughly about 6 to 5 months. What had changed was the previous executive. Well, the policy and advocacy role is a relatively new role. right? First to begin with. But the past executive, because of COVID, it's 2019, 2020, 2021 into 2023, they were more pandemic years. So there were a lot of activities and panel discussions taking place online, right? Even a power motorcade in December of last year. They kept excellence award where they highlighted sport, education, art and culture, and other stuff in the community. But the changes now coming out of COVID in a physical setting to have tangible impact, hands-on, in person. So that's basically the change moving forward. We are not reinventing the wheel, but we took what worked during the pandemic. The policy and advocacy role is a relatively new role that I was appointed in, and taking what we learned from COVID and implementing it in real life and in workshop, because we did a lot of stuff online for the past 2 or 3 years due to the pandemic.
And we're going to be talking about something that is in person in just a bit, but it's always nice to give a little set of context. So, Mr. Bedassie, what are some of those projects, the initiatives that would have already been conducted by NARMA DYC, thank you, that you're trying to build on, not reinventing the wheel?
Right. So the biggest highlight thus far of this executive would be the Recognizing Excellence Youth Awards and Gala ceremony. The purpose of that was to foster that sense of commitment among the young people within the community. So as Zakiya added before, we awarded a lot of persons, young people I would add, in the field of entrepreneurship, community development, sports, media, and entertainment, a lot of youth-centered categories. Just over maybe 20 to 25 young persons received awards in different age categories. So we had 10 to 16, we had 18 to 35, a wide variety of young people. Secondly, we would have, during the pandemic again, we would have started a virtual series called Will It Affect You? The purpose of that was to give young people a voice to explain or to voice their opinions on trending social issues in Trinidad and Tobago. So the first one would have been the budget, the second would have been crime, the third would have been the office of the president and that whole situation. And we actually have one coming up on the 17th, which is going to be centered around local government reform and elections. Now, throughout those major events, we have smaller events going on within the communities. We partnered with an organization called ICAT to assist them in a gender-based violence project that they had in Mayaro and environs. So a lot of what we do is focus around issues affecting youth and situations and social issues that we would like to voice our opinions and concerns on.
And following up on that, especially the will it affect you, do you find, what is the level of conversation? Do you find people just saying, okay, well, you talk about it then and then it drops, or the conversation continues and you hear this kind of people getting themselves in the know, becoming more aware of what is happening? Tell me a little bit about that, Taz.
Right. So in terms of that, we've had a lot of interaction with young people. And yes, we often have a lot of panel discussions, we often have a lot of discussions, but we don't tend to bring bring forward any sort of meaningful solutions. So the way that is structured is we have a topic, we discuss it, and we bring forward solutions. The long-term aim of that project is to now, for every discussion or every issue that we debate on, to submit some sort of document outlining the issues and the solution and provide it to the relevant ministry or the relevant authoritative body. Because as young people, our voice should be included in those policies and those decisions. And if we don't take that mantle and carry it to them, I don't think that the mantle would be brought to us. So it is important for us now to take that initiative and drive that change.
I really like what it is you're saying, because sometimes you have these fabulous conversations, but it feels as though it doesn't go anywhere sometimes. But to be able to take that and distill it and carry it forward in a manner that can affect policy is something that I really appreciate. We continue the conversation when we return. Stay with us. Welcome back. We are speaking with the representatives of Nariva DYC, the Nariva Mayaro District Youth Council, Zakiya Gill and Christian Bedassie. And we've kind of gotten a feel, context, parameters that we can carry the conversation forward. But looking at a few things that you spoke about, Ms. Gill, that happened online, and we hinted at something that is upcoming that is going to be in person. Take it away, please. Give me an idea. What is it, and who are you catering to?
Sure, not a problem. The name of our youth conference, which is scheduled for the 21st and 22nd of July 2023 at the BPTT Mayaro Resource Center, which is 100% sponsored by BPTT. So I must say thank you to our corporate sponsors, Lead Young, Lead Strong Youth Conference, which is the brainchild of the Youth Council Chairman, Mr. Patrick Phillips, as he believes youth empowerment creates a sense of responsibility and development of leadership skills in individuals. We hope to provide young people with such an opportunity to develop their skills, expand their knowledge, and engage in meaningful discussion. 5 topic areas that we would be targeting are conflict resolution, interview etiquette, personal branding, emotional intelligence, and youth inclusivity in decision making. It is aimed at, we dropped it to 16 because we really wanted to target Form 4, Form 5 who are entering the world of work. And we raise it up to the age of 35 because being a policy and advocacy officer, me realizing that, not because I know something at my age, I cannot take for granted that somebody else knows it. And our council is all inclusive, so it's for basically everyone.
Now I get that shout. I passed 35. Maybe all right. And I think the definition of youth actually goes up till 35. So I'm grateful that is that inclusive.
Yeah.
But in terms of success, Mr. Bedassie, it's one thing to say, okay, well, yes, it's sponsored, and we give thanks to the corporate sponsor. These are some of the things that are going to be covered. In that vein of saying, taking steps after something has happened, what defines success? How are you all going to look and say, these are some of the benchmarks that we're looking to see? Yes, we have a little more capacity. This is something that we can build on. How are you measuring the event as you lead up to it?
So for us, we as a team came together and decided that we want to target between 75 to 100 young people. Now, for us, we think that in order for us to measure that success, we need to see tangible proof of it, as you mentioned. So for us, ideally, our absolute proof would be seeing young people out there in community and youth development. The Nariva Mayaro area is an area that, for one, we have a lot of young people that want to offer up themselves to serve their community and their fellow youth, but they may not necessarily have the tangible skills and qualities within them to drive that change. And we want to help in that process because as a young person, those years between the ages of 16 to 35 or even 18 to 35 are key years. And that is where we decide who we want to be as a person, what we want to do, the skills that we want to instill in ourselves. So tangibles for us would be seeing an increased number of young persons in community activism, community development, youth work, and so forth.
All right, so we have about 3 minutes. I want to get contact information because, yes, it's in July, but it's always good to be able to take incremental steps as opposed to, all right, it's getting close to the date and you have to take big jumps. So how do people contact you? How do people register to be 16 to 35 years, but how do they register to be a part of it, Ms. Gill?
You can check all our social media pages. Nariva Mayaro District Youth Council on Facebook, on Instagram, on Twitter. You can also email us at narivamayarodyc@gmail.com. And Christian is also doing our social media. So, and a lot of marketing. So, Christian, any other thing you want to say how the public can contact us?
Most definitely. So as young people, the easiest way for you to register would be to go to that social media platform, Facebook, Instagram. It will be the first pinned post on each platform. Attached on that post, there's a registration link. You could go on there, submit the information, and once your information has been submitted, somebody from the team would contact you and confirm those details. Now, registration is currently open rather, but closes on June 17th.
All right, so in the minute that we have for each of you, as in you each have 60 seconds, I want to ask you, Christian, and then you, please, Zakiya, why do you serve?
For me, my reason for serving is I simply want a better Trinidad and Tobago, especially for my fellow youth. I think as young people, we often get overlooked. We often get tossed aside, but we have a lot to say. We have a lot to give. We have a lot of impact that we want to make. And I would leave you with this quote from a political scientist. His name is Dr. Shane Mohammed. And the quote goes something like, we often think that young people are emotional, but the truth is we are passionate about what we do. So I leave you with that, and I want to say to our fellow young people, don't ever give up and continue to do the great work that you all have currently doing.
Thank you so much. And Ms. Gill, why do you serve?
Rumi, who is my favorite poet, he said yesterday, I wanted to change the world, so I had courage. But today, I had wisdom, so I decided to change me, right? Too often, we sit and we complain, or we stay behind a phone screen or a keyboard and we complain. And me realizing that I have so much more to offer this world, not just through spoken word and performing arts. And I really love to serve in general. And now that I know better, I have to do better. And I think I have a responsibility, a social responsibility as I grow to help the community and Trinidad and Tobago to a wider extent grow with me.
And with that,
just being the change that we still talk about. Yeah.
Definitely creating that change that you want to see. So we want to thank you both, Christian Bedassie, co-coordinator, the Nariva Mayaro District Youth Council, as well as Zakiya Gill, the project lead and the policy and advocacy officer, looking at how it is we can develop community through youth leadership. And on behalf of the entire TTT News team, I'm Dike Rostant. This has been In Depth with me. Thank you so much for joining us.